Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 6. And typically, I usually do the introduction, then I watch the episode and review it, and then I review Talking Dead, and then just end the video, and just combine it all in one video. But I actually fucked up. I forgot to do the introduction, so I'm just going to do the introduction and the review all in one video. So, there's that. Now let's talk about the episode itself. This was the first episode in the new chapter of The Walking Dead, and this was a pretty big deal because they really had to deliver. Because, you know, people will probably want to feel justified to watch the show because I think a lot of people kind of were still concerned that without Rick Grimes, the show would have kind of gone to shit. And I think this episode kind of really needed to ease fans' worries. Did it ease my worries? Really not so much. I mean, I still like the episode, but you could definitely feel that something was off without Rick Grimes, I think, a little bit. It is going to take some getting used to, because obviously it's going to take a little bit to sink in. I think it was kind of a little bit of a mistake to do a 6-year time jump. I think that was a little bit too long. If they wanted to do the time jump, I think they should have just at least maybe 3 to 4 year time jump. I think 6 was a little bit too much. But that's just me. But, because I feel like it kind of makes the storyline a little bit hard to, kind of follow now because so much other stuff is going on. Fans can't really get invested in it. And there was stuff they started in the first 5 episodes that when they blew off the storylines, it had been 6 years that it already happened. So that's just kind of how I feel about those kind of situations. But let's talk about this episode. This episode was broken up into 2 separate storylines. So I'll talk about both of them all at once. The one main thing I want to talk about, though, is, Judith Grimes' character now. I like it. I think it's fine. I just think I see her character and everything that she is really should be called right now. And I think that's kind of like one of the lingering effects that kind of pisses me off a little bit about Judith Grimes' character. She's pretty much stolen what Carl's role should have been when Rick was gone. And I think, that really shouldn't have gone down that way. Andrew Lincoln said in his last review that The Walking Dead wasn't just about him. It was about other people. That really wasn't the case. It was really about Carl, like I've talked about before. It was kind of Carl's storyline. It was to kind of see how a kid would grow up, in a zombie apocalyptic type of world, and killing Carl off took that away from us in a way because we have to kind of see Judith kind of start over in this type of world. With Carl, he would have grown up in this world and he could have been in Judith's role. Yes, he would have been older and stuff, but I just feel like Carl would have been better. And like I said, I think people would have eased, their feelings. The only problem, I guess, would be, though, is it wouldn't be the same actor playing Carl because, obviously, Chandler Riggs, it would be a little bit too young, but I still feel like that everything that's going on with Judith should be Carl right now. And I think that kind of makes me not really like Judith's role as much in the show right now because it's not Carl. And I know that's kind of a shitty reason, but that's just me. But I just want to make sure I kind of touched on that real quick. But I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start with talking about everything that kind of took place at... I'll talk about the beginning first. I think the beginning was mainly to kind of help us set the tone and kind of give the fans a little bit of, insight of what's been going on the past 6 years. You see Michonne, she's kind of narrating this, and she's talking about how, and she's kind of talking to Rick grave site where he supposedly died, but obviously we know he didn't die. Where she says that, you know, that she's trying to remain positive, but there's a dark cloud going on because there's been so much negativity, but there are some lights and some glimmers of hope, and it kind of shows her finding like some sort of action figure that's like a cop shooting, which was kind of supposed to be like a symbolic, like it was kind of Rick Grimes, Dalo, who was now living on his own, kind of living off the land, killing walkers and stuff, and sees birds feed it like a mommy bird feeding her newborn. Carol, who's now living at the kingdom, seeing a flower grow. And Michonne says that when we see those glimmers of hope, it gives her hope that the world's going to kind of be okay again. And based off this episode, it looks like Michonne's going to be the main character because, which is very weird because I read online that originally it was supposed to be Daryl, but based off this episode, that doesn't look to be the case. I don't think Daryl is going to be the main character, but still only one episode in. And I think Michonne should be kind of be the main character in a way because she just kind of feels like she's the one to kind of lead in the group in a way. And a lot of people like Michonne and stuff, so because I have talked about this before, I think what makes Dale's character special is that he is very likable, and his character really doesn't fit like a main character type of role. But continuing though, but I kind of liked that they did that bit, you know, in the beginning of the episode because it kind of gave us the tone of what the episode kind of was going to be about. And like I said, it kind of tied in and kind of informed the fans kind of what's been going on the past 6 years. But then it cuts to the kingdom. I'm just going to kind of talk about all that stuff first. We see that Henry has aged now since it's 6 years. I don't know how old he was. He was probably like around 8 when he was in the zombie apocalypse, you know, during season 9, the beginning. So he's probably 6. Well, 8 plus 16 is 14. So actually, he's not 14 then. I don't know how old he was. Because he's definitely not 14. He's definitely older than that. I think he's like 16. So he might have been like 10 then. During their first half of the first parts of the season. But yeah, we see that the kingdom's kind of falling apart a bit. They're breaking down, and Ken Ezekiel was kind of relying on duct tape and stuff to keep pipes together and things like that. And Henry wants to do something about it. We also find out too that not Maggie. I always fuck up the names for some reason. Carol did say yes to Ken Ezekiel because we see that she's wearing the wedding ring. But we also see that her and Ken Ezekiel are sleeping together and stuff. Which, that's kind of like one of the reasons, because that was like, I think like a big scene that they could have done where Carol finally did say yes. Yes, it would have been a quick scene, but I feel like it would have been a nice significant scene. So I feel like they kind of missed the boat on doing that. And Henry wants to go get some supplies, but Ken Ezekiel refuses. And, you know, you can kind of see that Ken Ezekiel wants to kind of keep Henry around. He won't really let him grow up. He wants him to stick around in the kingdom for all these types of projects, like fairs and stuff. But eventually, I guess, you know, Ken Ezekiel does let him go. And Ken Ezekiel's worried because Henry only really wants to see as a dreamer. He doesn't really see the world for what it truly is. And Carol says that it reminds her of him. And Ken Ezekiel says that he needed someone to kind of show him what the real world was actually like. And then Carol and Henry go to the hilltop so they can get, you know, make some trades with supplies. And what happens is Henry overhears somebody screaming for help, so he immediately gets off the carriage and goes to see who it is. We see, though, that it's the former members of the Saviors. One of them is Regina, and we find out that she was actually faking it. And Carol comes over with a crossbow. And Carol, too, also has long hair now. I forgot to mention that. She points the crossbow at Regina, and then eventually, I believe his name is, I forget his name off the top of my head, Jed, comes out of one of the building behind her, and and since it's so many of them, and he's holding her at gunpoint and stuff, it eventually causes her to give up her stuff. And what happens is, they take all their stuff, but Jed agrees to spare her since she spared him all those years back. We find out, too, that the sanctuary ended up going under, which makes sense because obviously Dale kind of alluded to that in, the season premiere, and says that they're gonna take all the stuff. We even found out that they ate their horses and stuff, and they say that they don't want the stick because they don't have any use for that, because we know Henry knows Kino because of season 7. Actually, no, it was season 8, actually. I was thinking of somebody else for season 7. And he wants to win, and this actually pisses Henry off, so he tries to fight them, but he's outnumbered, so they beat the crap out of him. So Carol reluctantly gives up her win, and Henry's upset about this, saying that you have to fight for what you truly believe in, but Carol said that there was nothing that she could do about it, and says that he's going to understand someday why she did what she did. Because she kind of did it to save Henry also, and she also kind of realized that she was fucked. There was so many people, there was nothing she could do. So later on in the night, she goes and burns the building down and burns all the saviors down, and the next day Henry apologizes and he sees that she has the win on, so Henry knows that she did something. And they find Dale, they pick him up, and that was pretty much that. I thought, though, the stuff they did with Henry and Carol was decent. I thought it was some nice storytelling, so kind of shows Carol is kind of in a different stage of her life now, because she's got she's supposedly raising a kid in a way. So I mean, because she didn't really get to raise a kid because her kid died the second season really young. So I like that storyline. And then we had all the main two storyline where Rosita, Aaron, Eugene, and somebody else, I forget the and Laura, all looking for Judith. Judith wins. Magna, it's Magna, Kelly, I think Luke and Yakamiko. I don't know how to say. I don't know if that's their names, but it's the Magnus Group, and Judith wants to bring him in, but Aaron and stuff don't want to. But Judith says that they have to help him because they need food and water, and one of them's got a concussion, so they agree to bring them in because obviously Judith won't go back with them if they don't. So they bring him in. Michonne comes back and checks them for weapons. Says they can stay. Gabriel says that they should stay overnight because one of them's got a concussion, and they'll take a vote on it with the council. So they have this big council meeting where Gabriel is asking them questions, kind of like what they did before the apocalypse, what they did afterwards, how they survived, all that types of stuff. This was some nice stuff because you got to kind of get to know each of the members of Magnus Group. But mainly Magna was the one that Michonne was suspicious about, because Michonne reveals that she actually lied. She said she was a waitress at a truck stop, but reveals that she actually was in prison because she had a prison tattoo and that she had a knife on her. So Magnus Group get upset with her that, you know, she fucked up. She could have possibly fucked up their chances to stay, and they force Magna to give up her knife and stuff, and say that if they have to leave, then they'll leave. So what happens is, Judith talks to Negan about it because she's conflicted, feels like that, you know, she should help them, but her mom doesn't want to. She's even doing math problems with Negan and talking about airplanes and stuff, and Negan even says, like, you're never going to see an airplane fly, so you should do math that's related to the real world. And I kind of like that Judith and Negan have kind of formed this kind of weird friendship with each other. Just think it's kind of weird. And, you know, Judith asks Negan if they should take if Michonne's doing the right thing by not taking these people in. And Negan kind of ties it into to a story where he would take stray dogs thinking that they were nice. But one time he took the wrong stray dog and it almost bit her mom's ear off, and says that, and killed all the other dogs, and says that killing those dogs, that dog made me wise up and never bring dogs there. But then Judith has a smart remark by saying that you apparently didn't rise up because you're the one that's behind bars now. So there's that. Then we see that throughout this episode that Michonne is kind of struggling a little bit to kind of cope with the fact that Rick is dead, because she kind of talks to Rick and Cole, you know, as if they're there, but they're not. She is kind of, though, trying to keep Judith having a good path by having to do homework and sword lessons and stuff. We see that Rick and Michonne did have another kid, because we see, like, a kid who's probably probably 6 years old, actually, maybe 5, I don't know, named Rick Jr. And you know, Judith is talking to Michonne, and Judith says that they should bring these people in because that's what Rick would want, which it depends. I feel like the Rick we saw this season probably would take these people in, but obviously not the Rick probably from like season 4, season 5, and maybe season 6, but I don't know. But you know, but she says that Rick would want these people to be brought in, and she even kind of talked about how she misses her dad and her brother and is starting to forget their voices. So Michonne realizes that, and what happens is when they're about to leave, Michonne allows them not to stay, but to go to the hilltop with Sadiq, so that way, you know, he can be there as a doctor. Man, though, see, Sadiq was supposed to have this, you know, Carl died for fucking Sadiq, and they like barely put him in the show. That's why I hate Sadiq's character, because Carl died for him. So really fucking stupid. But I like the stuff they did with the Magnus Group. I think what I didn't like about it is the storyline we've seen before in the zombie apocalyptic world. With this show, we've seen it, you know, with when Rick's has come in somewhere. We've seen it when they brought Rick's group in, when they met somebody new. And I just think it gets kind of old to see this type of storyline. Where the group consistently, when they meet somebody new, struggles with whether or not they should trust them, and either they do or they don't. And you know, you get to, you literally could just write these lines out and just copy and paste somebody else's lines. It gets kind of old to see this type of storyline, in my opinion. But it is, The Walking Dead does do it well. But I am kind of sick of every time you meet a new character, we kind of have to go through this format every time. Because we've seen this for 9 fucking seasons. We don't need to see this anymore. I mean, I guess we didn't really see it too much the first season, because, yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Then, as all this is happening, we find out that Gabriel has had, like, a USB, or like, a radio set up, and he wants to get a signal and see, like, if there's other communities out there. So Rosita offers to help him. We find out that Rosita and Gabriel are kind of seeing each other, which I guess that makes sense because obviously, Rosita and Gabriel kind of had a lot of conversations with each other the past few seasons. I didn't think it was enough to have like a relationship, but like I said, because it's 6 years into the future, we don't actually know it. So her and Eugene go out to do stuff. Well, go up and set up like one on a water tower, and we see Eugene has like cut his hair and put it in a ponytail and stuff. So Eugene kind of looked very different in this episode, and Eugene implies that he wants to be with Rosita, but doesn't really say it. He just kind of says it generally. He thinks that he should be with Eugene instead of Gabriel, which is kind of funny because it's kind of like that science versus religion type of thing. So Eugene goes up to the top of the radio tower and sets the radio down, and we see walkers approaching, and Rosita wants them to get away because when you heard of walkers approaches, you're fucked. Like I said, good thing this isn't the 28 days later zombies, or these Rosita and Eugene would be absolutely fucked. But Eugene struggles to get down off the water tower. What happens is he drops his backpack too, which scares the horses away, because that's important, because then they had to go on foot. And Eugene takes a bad fall off of the water tower, and he can't stand, so he uses like a shovel as a crutch, and they walk through the woods, and Eugene doesn't think they're gonna make it, and thinks he's holding Rosita back, so he's about to confess his love for Rosita, but Rosita thinks he's talking crazy, so what they do is they cover themselves up in mud and hide themselves from the walkers. However, we find out that the walkers have advanced because we hear them say, where are they? I actually have the exact quote. It's, don't let them get away, and they must be close. They actually say word for word, where are they? They must be getting close. Don't let them get away. Now that's very weird because obviously walkers aren't supposed to talk. So maybe the walkers are starting to advance a bit. I mean, that would make sense. The show's been going on for 6 years, but yeah, that's very interesting that happened. I really dig that. I honestly like that. I'm kind of interested to see what happens in the next episode now, because walkers aren't supposed to like whisper in that distinct tone like that. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. And overall, that was this episode of The Walking Dead. This was a good episode. I don't think it was the episode that the show needed, since this was the first one post Rick Grimes and stuff like that. I think they should have, really hit a home run. I think it was a little too long. I don't think it needed to be 57 minutes. You easily could have, put the, the Carol Henry storyline in a different episode easily. I mean, yeah, I would have made that episode long, but I just thought that it was very unneeded and stuff like that. I feel like they could have just cut that stuff out and just focus on that one storyline. But that's just me. But yeah, this was a good episode. I thought it flowed well and stuff, and the storylines I thought were good. And yeah, it was just good. It really wasn't anything fancy. In a way, too, I really kind of wasn't expecting it to be, too, after that big episode we had in the previous, one with Rick dying and stuff. So, yeah. I think one problem that the show's going to have is it's going to have to rebuild, like, a new main character. I think it should be Michonne, just because it's looking like it's going in that direction. Because, even though they said it was going to be Dale, but yeah. Not a lot of Dale on this episode, but I'm assuming it's going to come in the future. But like I said, good episode. letter grade as I would give it a B minus. It is a good episode. This is definitely the weakest one, you know, of the season thus far, but I think it's a good episode. And what other people, you know, think of this episode is they pretty much largely agree with me. They think it's a good episode. IMDb gave it a 7.9 out of 10, which is like almost an 8. But there was some people, I saw that it was kind of mixed reviews. I saw 2s, then 10s, and stuff like that. On Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 83%. The average rating was a 6.92 out of 10, so that the critics didn't like it as much as the fans. And it had 18 reviews, 15 fresh, and 3 rotten. They kind of said largely the same amount of stuff I said. But yeah, that's pretty much the review of the episode. Now I'm going to watch Talking Dead and have my review up of that fairly soon. Okay, so now we had Talking Dead, which had the same episode name as the real Walking Dead episode. This was Season 8, Episode 6. And it was hosted by Chris Hardwick, and we had the special guest. It was Lauren Whitloff, Angel Theory, and Drew Scott. Drew Scott's been into some things. You can look up his filmography online. And Lauren is actually a deaf actress. She actually plays Connie, who's the deaf actress in the show. And Angel, who this is his first like role that he's ever had, which makes sense because you can kind of tell the way that he acts sometimes isn't the most smoothest thing in the world. But they talked about the episode pretty much. It really wasn't anything special. They did mention the skull on Michonne's back that was shown in the episode. I forgot to talk about that in the review, but they did some polls. But yeah, this Talking Dead episode really was one you could skip. So really not going to just go into too much of a breakdown about that. But that's pretty much was this review for Walking Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell, so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And please make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers YouTube channel. And obviously I'm going to try at some point to upload episodes 7 and 8. I'll probably do that Friday probably. I'm not sure yet. Well, which is tomorrow now because today's Thursday. I might do it today. I'm not sure yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.